Our first speaker is my colleague Andy Lester, who is Head of Business Strategy and Planning, and he will be talking to you about our draft strategic objectives and also a very important topic for us, which is prioritisation and how we will decide how best to use our time and resources. So I'll hand over to Andy now.
Thank you, Mike, and good afternoon, everybody. So I'm going to introduce you to our strategic objectives and the approach we take to prioritisation. So firstly, our objectives. We have a principal objective in the Environment Act, and that is to contribute to environmental protection and improvement in the natural environment. Our 4 strategic objectives set out how we aim to achieve that and make our contribution. We set these 4 objectives out for consultation, as well as the approaches we describe for how we'll aim to achieve them. I'll introduce you to each of them now before some of my colleagues go into the detail of how we propose to do our work. So as the OEP, we will strive for sustained environmental improvement. We know that government is uniquely placed to protect and improve the environment, not least because ambitious national plans, goals and targets are fundamental to environmental protection and improvement. Our aim is that government is held to account for delivery of those plans, goals and targets. We'll work towards that primarily through our scrutiny of the environmental improvement plans and the statutory targets that come with them. You'll hear more about how we'll do that later. We'll critically assess, report and advise on the development and delivery of these national measures, and in doing that, hold government to account for their ambition, their progress and delivery. We'll also support this objective through our other work. For example, we'll make recommendations for how changes to the law or its implementation could help deliver government's plans, and by challenging failures to comply with the law that undermine environmental improvement. Secondly, we aim for better environmental law that is better implemented. Our aim is that the environment is protected and improved, and people are protected from the effects of human activity on the natural environment through better design and implementation of environmental law. We'll work towards this objective mainly through our work scrutinising environmental law and providing advice. Again, you'll hear more about the approach to that work in a minute. In pursuing this objective, we aim to improve the effectiveness of existing environmental law and support the good design and implementation of new ones. Our approach, or proposed approach, looks across all stages of the law, its design, and all relevant aspects of its implementation. Thirdly, our objective is improved compliance with environmental law. Here, our objective is that the environmental law can protect people and protect and improve the environment as was intended when the law was created. We expect government and public authorities to abide by the law so that this can happen. We'll work towards this objective by holding government and public authorities to account for compliance and challenging serious failure. You'll hear more about our approach to enforcement later. We'll work strategically and we'll aim for all our work to achieve wider and sustained benefits. Our approach to scrutiny of the law and work to improve environmental law may also help identify and challenge systemic issues of non-compliance and their root causes, in turn leading to improved compliance overall. And fourthly, we aim for organisational excellence and influence. We believe the environment will be best served when we use our powers to their greatest effect, strategically, expertly and independently. Our objective is to be an organisation that does just that, to be effective and efficient, with the authority, relationships, expertise and voice to play our full part in national environmental governance. We set out some of the ways we're structured and some of the ways we'll work to make the most of our resources. We explain how we aim to develop and earn our authority and develop our voice, using them both with purpose and wisely, so that when we say what needs to be said, others listen. We also set out how we'll develop access to deep expertise and listen and engage with others. In our consultation, we seek views on these objectives and the approaches we set out to pursue them. We're really keen to hear what you have to say. We've spoken already today and you've heard about the importance of our approach to prioritisation, so I'm going to explain a bit about that approach now. We know that how we'll prioritise will be material to how much we achieve, and we're asking for your views on the approach we set out. We have a wide remit, and as Natalie has said, we start as an organisation that will have 53 staff. We'll not be able to do all that some people might wish of us, and nor can we tackle every problem. But where we choose to act, we'll act strategically, and we'll act with purpose. and will act to make a difference. We know it is really critical to choose well. We propose to make those choices in a structured way and to be transparent about how we prioritise, the things we prioritise, and the things we don't. Our approach to make those choices is built on 4 principles. Firstly, we'll prioritise by outcome. We'll prioritise by what makes the most difference as a whole. One of the things this means is that the amount we do in each of our functions will differ over time. Sometimes we might have more enforcement casework. At other times we might scrutinise more environmental law. It'll depend where we judge we can make the most difference. Our second principle is that we recognise that these choices are judgments. We'll use the evidence available to us at the time we decide to make them. And we'll do that by answering 4 questions. Firstly, how large an effect could our action have? How much difference can we make? And secondly, how likely is it? How likely is our ability to have that effect? We know that the environment is a complex system and the effect of our actions will not always be certain. So across all our work, we will aim to balance where we judge we might have greatest effects and where we judge we can be most confident of a positive impact, so that overall we make the most difference. Sometimes we know we'll be the only organisation able to act, and at other times we might judge others a better place to make a difference. We'll take account of these things in this third question of what is the strategic fit, alongside making judgments about the broad portfolio we spoke of and working to have balance across our work where we can and we should. And finally, we'll make judgments that we can do it, that we have access to the resources and expertise to make the difference we aim to. And the last principle here is that we'll be transparent about that, as I've set out before. We know prioritisation is really important to our success, and that these principles and the approach we set out for consultation is the way we aim to do that. We ask for your views on this in the consultation, and I'll now pass back to Mike to introduce some of our next speakers who will go into some of the detail about the way we'll work.
Thank you very much, Andy. Very important topics there, but particularly that prioritisation piece, which I know is key for many people to understand.